Well, hey y'all, welcome to Sharpen, where no matter the conversation, we always end up whittling life down to what matters most. And we already goofing off. And we hope that as you hang out with us, you will be inspired to do the same. My name is Nicole Payne. To my right is Danielle Perry. To my immediate left is Lynn Rue. And then to her left is Natara Blount. And as we always do, we just hang to kick it, but authentically talk about some real life things in an authentic way. So today, our topic is generosity and sacrifice. And I wanted to start with some definitions, a definition for the word generous and a definition for the word sacrifice, just so that I know I could understand clearly what we're talking about so we can speak about it in the most effective way. The word generous means showing a readiness to give more of something as money or time than is strictly necessary or expected. And sacrifice means an act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy. So when I was trying to think about the difference between the two of these things, it seems that generosity is, as it said, a readiness, right? You're ready to go. You don't really have to wrestle with it so much, but then sacrifice doesn't have that readiness word in it, but it still involves giving up something that's valued because something else that you're giving it up for is more worthy or more important. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the first question, and that is, who's one of the most generous people that you know or have known, and why do you see them in this way?
One of the most generous people I know is my friend Nadia. Mm-hmm. She has been the godparent of my kids since after a certain period of time, there was kind of a shift. So she wasn't always the godparent of my children, but she always acted as such. But she gives her time, her resources, and it's never a thing. It's never like where I feel like I need to pay her back, or you did this for me, so now I'm gonna do this for you. She just does it out of love, and I don't know, she just doesn't hold too tightly to her resources. I'm more so like, nah, I'm good. No, I'm more kind of pushing off sometimes. Mm-hmm. But she is selflessly generous, always available, and always reminding me or my children that she is available, and she's never looking for anything in return, and she never mentions it. Like, yeah, but the other day I did. She doesn't do that. She just, she just avails herself, and she just does it. And also, I don't necessarily have to ask, because I don't make a habit of doing that, because I know she's generous. So it got to a point I had to make sure I watched the things that I said, because if I'm just kind of sharing and there's like some type of lack or just some type, she's going to give. So I wanted to make sure like that it didn't seem like I'm mentioning this because I know you're going to do this or give me this. So I'm really careful with my communication with her because she is so generous. But she oftentimes she approaches me like, so is it okay if I blah blah blah, with like getting something for the kids, or just this recent I had to do some traveling for some family stuff, and she called me and she was just like, I know you need prayer and everything, but I know it's expensive. And that's where that conversation went. And she helped us out greatly during that time. So she's just amazingly generous.
She's tough. I definitely agree with that.
That's your person too?
No. Oh. But she is. I do want to say that she is. She's very generous. For me, there's quite a few people. At varied times. I will say the Coopers. definitely were very, at one time when they lived here, they were very generous, in particular with Christian and Sydney. I mean, that's Uncle Hans and Aunt Charlene. They call it. They would call themselves, and I would say, I don't think you should do that. Like, I don't think why are you calling them for that? But they were. They were just really, really generous with them. Monique is very, very generous throughout the kids' life, out of our lives. She was just really, really generous with the Brew Tribe, which was very helpful because raising 5 kids, and not at different stages. My kids' ages were very, very close. And there weren't many people that we would say that would take the entire 5 at one time, and was like, oh, we're oh no, that's not okay. I mean, that's not a problem. So, and she's still very generous with Sydney. She's taken Sydney to Canada. She's done some. She's very generous with Sydney, and I don't even get into it anymore. That's your pudding pop. Okay, whatever. And PK, she has been very generous throughout my life. In particular, starting with Justin, and like, she's been a rock through that entire situation, because that was a challenging situation for me. So yeah, PK is very, very generous, no matter what. Her time, her finances. So at the top of my list is PK. No questions asked, hands down. She will celebrate me till, celebrate me, celebrate the kids. Somebody said something about Christian, like a couple of weeks ago. She was beaming as if she was his parent and called him, and it was very early when she called him too. But he woke up because, that's Aunt Kim. That's his godmother. So yeah. PK for me. Hans and Charlene for the kids. Monique for the kids as well.
Well, I thought of several people as well. A couple of them are attached to instances that I can remember, but the first person I kept thinking of was my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. She always had to give, right? So if you I don't know, if you ended up spending the night at her house and you weren't relatives or anything, but you just were there and you going to church with her the next Sunday and you had no church clothes, she had them already, your size too. Shoes too. It just, like, she always had to give. If you needed $5 right quick, here you go. Or it just seems like she always had these odds and ends little things that you would think at a moment's notice somebody wouldn't be able to give you, but she always was able to do that. Now, I know that's because whenever she was somewhere and she just saw this, she would just grab it. She would just buy it, not even needing it at the moment. And so I always think of her for that. Another family really that I think of is the Harrison family from my childhood. And I actually just saw my 2 good friends, their sisters, when I went back to Texas. When I was growing up, I didn't know what to call it, but they were always willing to sympathize with you, or always willing to do for you, run errands for you, bring you things. And I realized later that it was hospitality. And they were just, like the definition said, a readiness. There was always a readiness with them. And a funny way that showed up once is when I was a teenager and the church was taking a charter bus to another city in Texas, which in Texas, if you go to another city, you might as well be ready to drive about 45 minutes. Doesn't matter which way. And
so true.
The church was traveling to another church on a charter bus, and Amber and Crystalline are my friends. Their mother's name is Gwen, and Miss Gwen actually was, I don't want to say this wrong, but she made history. Like, she was one of the first Black female flight attendants for Southwest Airlines. So I remember like waking up from a nap in the charter bus, and Miss Gwen was walking up and down the aisle passing out
Hilarious.
bags of peanuts. And I was like, this is what she does. Like, this is not just her job. Like, this is in her to do. This is the way God has gifted her. And I just thought that was so funny, but they were always willing. My stepmother lost her mother, and we ended up over at the Harrison's house, and my friend was like, I'm so sorry. And it wasn't like a child like, oh, I'm sorry. No, it was like you could really tell that she meant it, and it was just in her family lineage to be gifted that way, to sympathize with people and empathize with people. And Miss Gwen, she sat my stepmother down. She just started painting her nails, like doing things for people just to make them feel better, comfortable, help them. And now, today, my friend Crystalline is following in her mother's footsteps. So now she's a Southwest flight attendant. And then her older sister, Amber, they just always love that way. Giving of them their time, opening up their homes, asking you, do you need this? So those are also who I think of. And then the last instance that I thought of was when I was in grad school and I was having car trouble, and Andrea Woodfork, she just, however she found out, she just volunteered to like pick me up, take me to my grad classes in the evening, drive me back home. She didn't ask how long I needed her to do it. She didn't ask me for no gas money. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was really generous. I mean, she and I, we ain't never been tight. You know what I mean? We've been at the same church, and we have traveled in the same arenas. You know, we traveled through working together. We were in the athletic arena. She was a trainer. I was a player at the same time. But just that she offered to do that on a consistent basis with no strings attached, it still sticks with me.
I want to tag on to Andrea, too, because at the height of the pandemic, like when everybody was still really, really scared, I remember she, because she is in Montague's fantasy football league, or at least one of them or two of them. Montague's in like 8 leagues, y'all. Pray for him and us. But she came by and brought Lysol, and at the time that you could not find, like, she brought like 4 cans too. And I was like, this is a big deal. Like Lysol wipes, and that you just could, like the spray Lysol. It was just like, I was like, this girl is bringing it. She was like, yeah, I'm on this website, and we did something where one person would find where it is and people would go and buy it up. And she just had extra and brought it. But I remember once she paid for the kids to go see one of the Marvel movies, and she bought all the tickets. I don't know why, because I believe Montague had already seen it like 3 times already, but she paid so that the kids could go. And she is very, it's just out of nowhere too,
Right? Yeah.
You know, but her generosity is just like not a big deal, just like breathing for her. So yeah, I wanted to add to that.
I agree with that. She is very generous as well.
Yeah,
That's good.
She is.
For me, my husband is very generous. He's very generous, and I'm gonna name other people too, but he's very generous. Sometimes I have to kind of pull him back, like, babe, you're doing a lot. But he just has a big heart when it comes to his resources, his money, his time. He has a big heart. So he's willing, and a lot of times more than willing, to go the extra mile for people. And I learned from him how to be generous because he's so generous. So definitely my husband. I thought about Pastor Lawrence. Pastor Lawrence is also someone who, with all that he has going on, he has a big heart as well. He just has a big heart for people, and he gives a lot of his time, his resources, his money. I think about events or things that he's had at his house, and he has like all this food. And it's like, P.O., but it's only like 6 of us. But you got all this food, you know. Always handing out a free sweet potato pie every now and then to somebody. But he's just very generous. And for him to be a pastor, and I know a lot of pastors, maybe a lot of them already kind of have that in them because that's how God wired them. But, you know, he's not just generous in church. It's outside of church as well. And I appreciate that about him. Oh, I have two more people. My mom. My mom is very generous. I know that she still spoils me to this day, but she's not only generous towards me, she's generous just in general to people. She's a very welcoming person, down to earth. I feel like if you're just at her house, like, she always just makes you feel comfortable, makes you laugh for sure. And I just think about how, and my stepdad is in there too, how they've opened up their home over the years to just people to live with them because they needed a place to stay. And that's when I think about that. And now having a home, I'm like, dang, that was real generous, because you just had people up in your house, you know. So absolutely, my mom, she definitely goes the extra mile. Is not always appreciated for it. So I want to make sure too that I do a better job of really showing her that I appreciate how generous she is. And the last person is my grandma. My grandma Giles. She, when you were just sharing about your grandmother, I thought about mine, because she's the type of person where if you come to her house, you're going to leave with something. When Jared came to her house for the first time, he left with like sweet potatoes. He left with like, I don't know,
Cold
fruit,
sweet potatoes.
Yes, sweet potatoes. Like, she always just has some type of stock or storage of things. If you go in her basement, she got deodorant, lotion. Like, grandma, like, who you giving this to? But she finds people to just give stuff to. She gives people money. She gives people her time. She's just so generous. Like, as a matter of fact, she gave us her timeshare for our anniversary trip that we're going to take, since we weren't able to take it in July. So we have a free stay at a very nice resort in Williamsburg. So, you know, she's just always willing. Hilarious. She's always willing.
You know what she said?
No.
I don't know what she said.
I don't know.
I'm
she
just,
said.
because it's
said I
them
wanna
two.
go.
They just, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, my grandma, she's always willing to just give whatever you need. It's like, and she always got it somehow.
Yep.
She just got it. So, so yeah, those are the four people that come to mind for me.
I want to also add to yours too, because Pastor Lawrence,
Yes.
he's been my pastor since I was about 19. I'm 42. What's that like? How many years?
I'm not the math
A
person.
little over 20 years.
I get it. Wait,
But
Right, over 20, we know that.
over 20 years. He
23.
23.
I said it first. And you just
You
calculate off.
wasn't
And I ain't
sure,
even
though.
the math person.
You weren't sure though.
But I mean, he's been generous throughout, you know, my time of knowing him, and it's significant because, you know, I basically grew up without my dad around, but even when he showed up, it was still kind of a thing. But I just remember key times when he would like push in when I wasn't necessarily comfortable about it, and not because I didn't need, but just because I didn't want him to feel like I was trying to put him in a slot that, you know, wasn't his responsibility. And one time he called me. I was a young adult. Montague and I were dating, and he called me. What to me what seemed randomly, and he was just like, "You got food in the house?" I was like, because I didn't, but I was just like, I'm just gonna go eat at Montague's house later, because I mooched off Montague hardcore, y'all.
You didn't answer the question.
No, right? He was
Right.
like, I didn't ask
Correct.
what Montague had at his house.
Yep.
I said, do you have food at your house? And I was like, not really. And
Yes.
I could tell he went to like Costco or something like that, because it was in like boxes. But he brought like little steaks or what have you. Like, he came with like food, and I was just like, oh, people do this. This is like really, really nice. But you know, when my birthday comes around, when I turned 42, he came by the house and he had an ice cream cake with $100 bill on the top. He just came to the house, and it was just really fatherly. And you know, I just try to be mindful not to try and fill a space with him, but his generosity is just, you know, with so much love, with so much love, and he fills the bucket
Yep.
generously.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
He definitely does.
Pastor Kim too. I know we've been on this question for a minute, but
That's okay. We only had 4. I couldn't
hilarious.
think of no more.
But absolutely, Pastor Kim as well. I just think about an intricate moment at our wedding where, at the last minute, we realized, oh shoot, we don't have a wedding coordinator. How are we gonna do this? And she showed up on our wedding rehearsal night. I don't know, were you there? Wedding rehearsal night? You might not have been there.
I don't remember.
But either way, she just took over. She handled everything on our wedding day. She handled everything. I remember my grandma was like, I just wanted her to sit down and eat something. Because she kept moving around and doing stuff. I said, yeah, that's her. You know, when there's a need, she feels it.
Yes.
And she definitely felt it that day because she was on top of things that day, and we definitely needed her. And we didn't ask her. Like, it was one of those things, like on the rehearsal night, we asked someone to coordinate it, but we asked him at the last minute. And he was flustered. He was confused. You can just tell he didn't know what to do. So Pastor Kim, like, just stood up. She's like, all right, so, and then she just took over from there. She took over, and she really handled it well. And so, absolutely, Pastor Kim as well. And that's just one moment, but over the years, she's definitely been very generous in my life as well.
But they are just a generous couple.
That's true.
Together, like they and of their time as well, because I think about just the time that they have put into all of us, not just us sitting here at the table, but just people that have come and gone in the ministry. You know, how they at times haven't, you know, for a long time they didn't go anywhere for their anniversary. You know, the baby showers, you know, bridal showers that they've had, that they've been to, birthday parties. You know, I mean, just so much of their time has been, they've been generous.
She
with.
keep laughing.
I'm sorry, because as she was talking, I kept thinking of an instance. Go ahead.
That they have, you know, given. And again, it's not just their resources, but of their time to ensure that they wanted so many of us to know that we were loved, that we were valued, that we weren't just members of their church,
Right.
but that, you know, they were a part of our lives, and they were in it for the long haul. You know, that I'm here for you for the long haul. And I appreciate that about them. I really do.
Absolutely.
So what I keep laughing about is one time I was sick. I might have had the flu, and Pastor Lawrence, I don't know, we texted or he called, and he was asking me what I needed. So I told him, you know, I would like to have this and this and this, please. So he went to the store. He was knocking on my door, and when I opened it, he was like, so it's, you know, it's the door, and then it was the storm door, right, the actual glass, and he had the storm door open, and I opened our regular door. So he had it cracked. He's like, here you go. Here you go. Like, I love you, but I ain't catching what you got. Thank you.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. All right. Are we finished with that one? Because, I mean, we do have a lot of people in our lives who, you know, spring
I'm
up.
sure I could think of more, but those were the ones that really came to mind.
Okay. Okay. Well, the second question is, where does your mind go when you have the opportunity to be generous when it's easy, and when you have to sacrifice when it's not easy? And I asked about where does your mind go, because you know, our minds go different places, but we may act differently at the end of it. or even in the midst of it. You know, we could be thinking one thing and then do a different thing, or, you know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to start with, where does your mind go?
I'll start. When I have the opportunity to be generous, when it's easy, there's still kind of I get to do this for this person, you know, that comes to mind. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm free at 2. Okay, you need that? Okay, cool. It feels good to be able to help people, just in general. It feels good to do that. So I would say my mind, you know, when it's easy, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Well, when it's not easy, it's definitely that initial, like, all right, let me, all right. And just trying to get my mind
Like,
together.
all right, let me talk myself into this.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to talk yourself into it. And most times at the end of it, it's like, what was I complaining about? I'm glad that I was able to do that. You know, to sacrifice of your time, it's not easy, but the end of it, most times, not every time, because sometimes people aren't always grateful. They don't realize, like, you know, this took a lot for me to do, right? And not that we have to always express that, but some people just, they may not understand it. But even still, you know, you can't really focus too much on that. But yeah, when I'm able to do something, when it's a sacrifice, I think at the end, or even in the middle of it, as I'm doing it, I'm like, all right, this is cool. You know, I'm glad I wasn't selfish, but I'm glad I did this. But sometimes you do have to kind of talk yourself into it. So, yep, that's me.
I have had different seasons. So initially, just doing stuff, I just did it. I didn't think about it. I didn't, and I would sometimes just do too much, but I just did it. It didn't. Whatever. I'll do it. You need me to do that? I'll do that. You need me to do that? Okay. Or volunteering for stuff that I didn't necessarily have to do, you know. And it wasn't about being generous. It was just about just doing stuff. Because I knew how, or I didn't see anybody else volunteer to do it, or you know, as I got older and as my family grew, I started more so feel, you know, when I was younger, single, I just feel like I wasn't single for a long time. I mean, I feel like once I finished school, I was married, which is great. I'm not complaining about that. But I, you know, when I was younger, it was easier to do it. It was still a sacrifice, especially when I didn't have a car, or I really didn't have money, to do things or to give, you know, was a sacrifice. And as my family grew, then I realized more so with my time that I had to be more mindful, because I wasn't always balancing. I remember having a meeting with the pastors. I was younger. I was married, and I might have had a child or so or two. I don't remember, but I just remember we were kind of revamping the ministry to a degree, and I was naming the different things I did at the church. I can't remember them all. I know it was praise and worship. I know it was Heart of David, but there were some other things that we used to do. And Pastor Lawrence was like, "Why are you doing all that stuff?" He was like, "You need to put some of that stuff on the shelf. You're doing too many things." I feel like it was a marriage meeting, though. Maybe we were getting ready to get married. But either way, I had gotten to a point, not at that time. When he said that, I was just like, "Oh, okay." But I was still just, "Oh, I'll do it. I'll do your hair. I'll do, you know, whatever." And in my mind, though, I would be overwhelmed, or even sometimes agitated. But I would do it. And as I got older, and like I was saying, as my family grew, I realized I needed to start setting boundaries, some healthy boundaries, and to be okay with being vocal about them too.
Well, we hope that y'all enjoyed today's episode on generosity and sacrifice. And, if you like kicking it with us and all of these things, subscribe to the channel. And the podcast is also found on other platforms, so you can look in the show notes and get the direct links to those platforms where you can find the podcast there as well, or you can keep watching it here on YouTube. We hope that you enjoyed hanging with us here at Sharpen, where when we get together, we always find ourselves whittling life down to what matters most. And we hope that as you hang out with us, that you will always be inspired to do the same. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.